Well, oh yes, bit of a later one today. Been working a couple of nights and only just woken up basically, so a bit bleary-eyed. But thankfully, I decided to leap out of bed with the good news that Nigel Farage has written an article in the Mail on Sunday, and I thought we'd have a look at that because I think it is a masterclass in British media representation and everything that is potentially wrong with Nigel Farage in terms of the national discourse. Allegedly. We'll come on to that. Right, so the piece is titled Nigel Farage. Last week I was cancelled by a doctor who puts politics above dying. Now, I'm not quite sure what that means on first glance. Does that mean that the guy is dying? I don't know. But anyway, the key word here, of course, is cancelled. And I think it's a delicious thing for Nigel Farage, because at last he's been cancelled. And I'm sure he's going to dine out on this one forever. So let's see now, because it's about the him not being disinvited, whichever the phrase is, uninvited, from giving a talk at Preston Grasshoppers Rugby Football Club by the members. Allegedly. Anyway, let's see what he has to say about that. Inevitably, social media abuse was triggered. The most offensive was on Twitter, with a particularly vocal ranter called Hussein Kambalia, who he describes himself as a surgeon and has the EU flag on his Twitter profile, suggesting he and I have very different views when it comes to being governed by Brussels. Yes, I mean, anyone can post up on social media that they're a surgeon, can't they? And if you look at his Twitter account, he's a surgeon. And yes, anyway, let's see the offending flag. Oh, there it is. Yes, in the middle of some other ones. Oh, yes. And what's that one he's got first? Is that the Red Cross? No, it's the flag of St George. A proud Englishman. He actually lives in Preston and he works for the NHS. That's presumably why he puts dying above politics. No, politics above dying, sorry. Yes, and oh, look, there's the national flag there before the European one. Odd that Nigel didn't mention that, isn't it? Odd that, yeah, odd. I mean, you can't really have the first two flags with the other one. You can't be proud of where you live and your local community if you also believe that leaving the European Union wasn't such a great thing. You can't have the two, according to Nigel. Anyway, odd that he doesn't mention those two flags, isn't it? Odd. Right, anyway, so, yes, let's move on. For such hardline Remainers, Brexit is a crime that can never be forgiven, even if that means charities such as St Catherine's Hospice in Preston are denied extra funds. What an irony that a man of medicine is putting politics above end-of-life care. Now, I love this because at this part, Nigel Farage is suggesting that actually the guy is a surgeon. Yes, which he wasn't before. And you notice that magically this has become about Brexit, okay? It isn't about the fact that somebody might just not want Nigel Farage in their local club, is it? It couldn't be that. Right. Anyway, and yes, this is where I love it. Right. This is where you get the whole playing with words business. Okay. To ensure that presumably he isn't actually sued. I mean, nobody's actually going to sue the Daily Mail, Mail on Sunday, I should say, because they have enormously deep pockets. But notice the language here, okay, in the next couple of bits I'm going to read out, because it is extremely well chosen. I've been told that the rugby club's chairman has since resigned in protest at the cancellation, while several members, including former England rugby internationals, are furious too. Yes! Oh, that sounds really bad. I wonder who told him. Because I've had a look on social media and can find no record of any of this stuff whatsoever. You would have thought that resignation at that level would at least be mentioned on the club's site. Nothing on their Twitter account, and this is the latest local news reporting from it's nothing, is there? Nothing there. So, I don't know who told you that, Nigel. Maybe you should have better friends who are better informed. Maybe somebody that can use a keyboard and a mouse correctly, eh? It seems there's no limit to the number of people who some think should be erased from the present or murdered. from history without any kind of debate, just like Cambodia's despot Pol Pot declaring that his country would start again at year zero. Yes, that's an interesting metaphor, isn't it? So, Nigel Farage not being invited to give a talk is a bit like the Cambodian genocide. I don't know. I make of that what you will. I'm finding it hard to find any kind of historical parallels between the two. I don't know. Maybe when the history of the 21st century is written, Nigel's non-appearance in Preston will go down along with Cambodia climbing out of a genocidal regime. Oh, hang on, I'm not supposed to say genocidal regime because I'm a left-winger, aren't I? Yes. Anyway, most disgracefully, many companies, some in the charity sector and too many in the media, bow to this Marxist agenda. Yes, a Marxist agenda, which is, what? Not wanting Nigel Farage, apparently. I've read a lot of Marx, and Nigel Farage is mentioned only in passing. I think Volume 2 of Das Kapital. Yeah, Marxist agenda. Right, a Marxist agenda. Okay, I'm not really quite sure about that. But anyway, guys, here comes the zinger. The I don't know, the cherry on the cake. The icing on the thing that needs to be iced, right? I would like to think they would not commit murder to achieve their aims. You never know, though. Yes, I would like Nigel Farage not to spew hatred into the British political media discourse. He's not going to do it, though. You see, I'm going to actually say things today. Right, okay, so in other words, because Nigel Farage hasn't been invited to give a talk, which he once was invited to, these people are Marxist murderers. That is effectively what he is, I know, suggesting. Right? What mealy-mouthed little human being you have to be to come out with something like that and then say, you never know, though. I'm wondering if Nigel Farage has been paid for this article. I imagine if he has been, I would strongly suggest that he donates it to the hospice, seeing as he's so bleeding compared about end-of-life care in Preston. How on earth is this man allowed to do this kind of thing? Suggesting that just simply because people don't like him for reasons, that they are potentially murderers with an ideological bent. It's outrageous that the Mail on Sunday, that calls itself a newspaper, can give someone like this a platform, and there is no comeback whatsoever. None whatsoever. I would strongly suggest that whoever's next on Talking Pints with Nigel, if they're a journalist, that they actually question him on some of this stuff and kind of point out to him, perhaps, that it's just not acceptable. I mean, it just leaves a really bad taste in your mouth. How on earth, you know, he claims not to be thick-skinned, and there he is, basically treating him not being invited to a minor place in the north like it's some sort of crime of the century. Yeah? It's all about you, Nigel. It's all about you. All about you, innit, mate? It's all about you.